What's up, fam? Hey, if you don't know me, my name's Kale. I've made millions of dollars in crypto. I've lost millions of dollars in crypto. Today, I want to try something new. I just kind of want to do my thoughts live out onto the screen. Everyone on YouTube and all these crypto influencers, they want to get all crazy and get you excited and make you watch the whole video. But in reality, they're just normal people like you. And so when they start saying, and I've done this in the past too, because it helps. Honestly, the videos work better. Like, people watch them, you get more comments. The algorithm is biased towards certainty. It wants you to say Bitcoin is going 100% going to $50,000. Like, it wants you to make a yes or no black and white statement. But for those of you guys that are smart, you realize that life is not like that, right? There are probabilities. There are things that could go one way, but they actually end up going a different way because some very small probability thing actually happens, right? And so today I just want to talk through my thoughts. I woke up this morning like a normal person like you. I put my pants on like you, and I am about to analyze this market and try to make money this week. So if you would like unfiltered thoughts from someone who has done pretty well in crypto, done pretty well in business, I'm not a bazillionaire, but I think I have pretty good logic about the way I think about things, then watch the rest of this video. If not, we'll just see. It probably won't perform well. I don't really care. Like, I've never made these videos for money or for the views or for anything. I honestly just make them to try to help people. So if it's not helpful, don't watch. I don't give a shit. All right, here's the thing. Bitcoin this week is all dependent on this ETF, right? And so I'm really thinking it through hard, probably too hard. But what is going to happen with this whole deadline, this artificial deadline? We have this artificial deadline that is coming in this week. On a brief window opens on November 9th for the SEC to potentially approve all 12 U.S. spot Bitcoin ETF applicants, including Grayscale. Okay? It will be open for at least 8 days. So November 9th plus 8 days is November 17th, right? So November 17th, 8 days. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, November 17th is the deadline. It's November 13th, so we have like 4 days. And I'm just trying to figure out, is that going to really move the markets? Is it just something that we're only thinking about in Twitter? This is one of those things where I can't really figure out, are the actual big dogs worried about this, right? Because I guess let me just map out what I'm thinking. So basically everyone thinks there's almost a guaranteed, like a 95% chance that this ETF gets approved by January 10th. So if we go to January 10th, I'm just trying to work this out in my head live for you guys. So if you like this, smash the like button, retweet this. If not, whatever, this video will bomb. Who gives a fuck? Okay, January 10th. Everyone thinks, like, at least, I'll say 95% chance the ETF gets approved by here, January 10th, okay? So, that's great. Oh, sorry, my alarm's going off. Get up before your alarm and grind. That's the message for the day. Anyway, so if it's going to be 95% that it gets approved there, obviously we kind of expect the price to keep going up until that date. It's a huge event. BlackRock's getting an ETF. Again, I think the fair price at ETF launch, when everyone's super excited about it, is somewhere in, I've been saying this for months, but I think it's somewhere in like the $44,000 range, like in here somewhere. Like $44,000 is at least where we're going to tap that. Like, we're not going to not explore these prices that have been so important in the history of Bitcoin. If you go back, I mean, this 40K, I'm not talking about technical analysis here. I'm talking about human behavior. These prices, I mean, we've spent months exploring these price ranges, and just to think logically, I try to make things simple, guys. When I'm thinking it through, I'm like, you could think of all the technical lines that you want, but it doesn't make sense to have a BlackRock ETF, like the biggest event in crypto history, and to not come back to this 40K range. Like, we're going to come back to the 40K range, no matter what, before this green line happens, okay? So that's my like one thing that I would bet the house on, right? I would bet everything on that, and that's kind of what I've done. I bought down at 28K, and now I'm waiting for this 44K for Bitcoin to sell, right? But the reason I'm having this big think session and probably overthinking, let me know in the comments if I'm overthinking it. I'm sure I am. is this deadline that is kind of artificially come up, right? Because the deadline was January 10th, right? Everyone's like, okay, January 10th. But then these guys, who are basically controlling the whole news feed for this market, come out and say that we have an 8-day window from November 9th. So they've moved this deadline up. I'll show you on the chart just so you can see kind of how this could have an effect. They've moved the deadline up to the 17th. Jeez, that's close. That's like right here. Like, look at that. They've basically said that there is a deadline, there is a window where they could approve the ETF, okay? And so I'm trying to figure out how the market is going to react to this, because it's super weird, because we all know that this is real. This is an actual deadline. This is kind of a made-up deadline, but it makes sense logically. So you kind of have to figure out, how do you want to play this? Because let's say it does get approved. Let's try to break it down. If it does get approved, I think it's happening so much earlier than people expect. People expect it over here, right? And if this happens, we're expecting $44,000. Remember, at least. But this is a lot earlier. So I think if it did happen this week, which it could. I don't know what the percent chance is, but it could. It could go to like 50K. I'm seriously, just because all the shorts and people aren't ready. People aren't ready for it to get approved right here. And when you catch the market off sides, that's when things could get silly, like silly. So we could all pray for that. That would be great. I hope we go to 50K this week. But then I got to ask, like, what if it doesn't get approved, right? Because if there is a percent chance, let's say the percent chance is like 20% that this happens, you would think that the price would kind of start to follow this up. Because it's like, oh, well, there's a 20% chance. Maybe we go to 40K this week. Maybe we go to here. Just in case it happens. But then after it doesn't happen, what happens to the price? Does it come back down? Does it just stay? Does it scare everyone all shitless and then eventually go back to 44K? I don't know, man. It's tough. And then you add all of the altcoins on top of that. You have Ethereum, which is starting to look much better against Bitcoin, which I told you guys last video that I changed some Bitcoin for Ethereum. Then you have Solana, which is like the craziest chart. I don't understand this chart at all, but people keep buying it. I don't know why. How could you buy this chart? Look at it. I mean, you're buying it. Someone's dumping on your head. You have Matic that looked good yesterday, and now it's down again. I don't know, man. Doge is starting to pick up. It's just a weird market, and everyone is saying kind of different things on Twitter, and they're saying, some people are saying it's over, some people are saying new bull run. All I know, though, is that the only thing that matters are these two lines, right? Like, if you just break it down and you're like, Gail, help me. You're being too complicated. I'm really trying not to make it complicated. The only thing that matters is this green line and this green line, okay? So follow me on Twitter, and we'll try to get updates from these two dudes as to what's happening this week. But expect some volatility this week, guys. I mean, this deadline may or may not be on the minds, this deadline of everyone who's trading crypto, everyone who's trying to make money on this. So I do expect some kind of reaction heading into it, and then after this deadline. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen and what the easiest play is. I'm starting to think that honestly, if you have a big bag of Bitcoin, maybe the smart play is to start moving some of it to Ethereum. It looks like Ethereum is finally going to do something here. It looks like this is the ETH Bitcoin chart, right? But it looks like after all these months of basically down, Ethereum could finally, on the back of that BlackRock ETF news, now we kind of shift the market over to Ethereum. I think Ethereum could definitely run here. And that also takes away some of the risk of this ETF thing, right? Because the ETF thing is like, what is it priced in? Is it not priced in? Is the green line? Which green line are we talking about? Like all this uncertainty. At least we know for Ethereum has an ETF coming, but the ETF their ETF is like way out here in like next year sometime. So there's more time. And sometimes when the market, the only thing the market cares about is news events, this is when the ETF would get approved, okay? Sometimes when the market only cares about news, it's better to just not have the news happen. It's better to just have longer, like, oh my gosh, yay, the ETF's coming. Like more time to get up to these prices is honestly better, because once the news comes, that you always have that sell the news. And that's why people get a little antsy with Bitcoin. And I don't blame them. I'm antsy too. I'm definitely selling everything. Before January 10th for Bitcoin. 100%. No doubt about it. I'm selling everything before here. Because sell the news is real. And this is the biggest news event in the history of crypto. So I guess that's kind of my conclusion after walking through all this in my mind live for you guys. Let me know if you guys like this format. My conclusion is that this week's going to be wild. I don't know how big this artificial event will matter. However, I think one of the things you could do to de-risk is to get some ETH instead of Bitcoin, because its event is way further out in the future. It doesn't really matter as much what happens with these two green lines this week, because it's ETH, not Bitcoin. And it's already been down so much against Bitcoin in the first place that, I mean, what do you really have to risk? You've already come this far. You've already come down this far. You have an ETF coming over the long period, over the next year. I do expect ETH to rally against Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's already gone up. Like if you just reverse this chart, think about it. This means that Bitcoin has gone up against Ethereum, and the reason it went up against Ethereum is because of the ETF for Bitcoin. So I'll just draw it out so you guys can see it. Look, this is the Bitcoin ETF, BTC ETF, and this line going down means that the price of Bitcoin is going up against the price of Ethereum. You guys understand? But now we're going to get this news event right here, which means no more talking about the Bitcoin ETF. It's already a thing, which means the attention will shift to the Ethereum ETF, which means that Ethereum should outperform Bitcoin headed into next year, and all of next year, I would assume. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of the move. There you go. Welcome to this new format where I just lay out my thoughts. I just speak my thoughts that are coming through in my head. And also, I want one last thing that is unrelated to this. Me and my wife have had this debate recently. Do you guys have an internal dialogue in your head? Like, is there something, an internal monologue, like all day long? Or is there a voice in your head? I've seen this debate on Twitter, and it drives me insane. I want to know in the comments if you have this. Like, obviously, I walk around every day, and I'm thinking, like, what's the price of Bitcoin going to do? I kind of just have this voice in my head talking. It's not like it's my voice, but I'm kind of like talking through my thoughts, right, in my head. Is that weird to you? Do you not do that? I want to know in the comments below, because I've heard some people say no, and it's freaky. It's freaking me out. Anyway, all right. Hope you like this type of video. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Bye.